What's up?
It is time for us to adopt a new company brand to encompass everything that we do, to reflect who we are and what we hope to build. I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta. We're going to talk about a metaverse. Meta. I thought I was supposed to be the robot. Meta. This could be very positive for our society. Meta. I hope that you will join us. You're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. This isn't about spending more time on screens. It's about making the time that we already spend better. We're starting to see a lot of these technologies. Next, there are avatars. And that's how we're going to represent ourselves in the metaverse. Alright, perfect. I thought I was supposed to be the robot. You'll see their facial expressions. You'll get to decide when you want to be with other people. When you want to block someone from appearing in your space, or when you want to take a break and teleport to a private bubble. Meta. We're going to talk about a metaverse. Meta. I thought I was supposed to be the robot. Meta. This could be very positive for our society. Meta. I hope that you will join us. I want to share what we imagine is possible.
This is not the way that we are meant to use technology.
That's a little too realistic. That's a glimpse of the kinds of experiences that you might have in the metaverse. You're going to really feel like you're there with other people.
I'm here!
I also want to be upfront about the fact that there's a ton that we just don't know yet.
What?
So we're going to approach this with humility and openness.
Meta.
We're going to talk about a metaverse.
Meta.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
Meta.
This could be very positive for our society.
Meta.
I hope that you will join us.
And now, Matt Wright and Spike Cohen.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Spike Juggly Puff Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom.
I thought I was going to be Pikachu, but I like Jigglypuff. That's awesome. So,
I
folks,
used Pikachu in the members exclusive that hasn't gone out.
We're just going to show this for 7 hours. No,
The next
folks,
7
thanks so
hours.
much. Thanks. We already did that earlier, so we won't do that again. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in to this. But also, thanks for tuning in to this, a Muddy Waters media production of the Muddied Waters of Freedom. And be sure to like us and share us and subscribe to us and comment and like other people's comments, reply to their comments with your comment, and then have them like your comment, and then comment about the fact that they liked your comment, and share it, and like other people's shares, and comment on their shares. And if you're going to subscribe on YouTube, be sure to hit the bell, because I want your phone to literally explode with notifications every time we go live. Matt?
First and foremost, allow me to thank the wonderful and fine people at Knockamal at Home for the cava that I am drinking today. Knockamallathome.com.
And I'd like to thank Le Bleu for giving me water. But not just water that's in a bottle, so I don't have to walk around drinking from a carafe all day.
Ulavanaka.
So we got to have some fun this weekend.
We had so much fun this weekend. I don't know how many of our regularly scheduled viewers on Tuesday tuned in for.
I had to reset
what
the
was
volume
that?
on my Bluetooth. Sorry, go ahead.
Gotcha. I don't know how many people that regularly watch on Tuesdays tuned in for the Saturday special. The Saturday special that had appearances from me, Jason, Spike, Cajun, and then Spike did he did a speech that, as I am now calling it, when Spike gives a speech at a convention, it gets the base a jumping.
Yes. It is.
It gets the Libertarian base a jumping.
It gets everyone ready to jump through walls and run through which was good because it was mostly partitioned, so it actually would have been easy to run through the walls compared to like if it were concrete. But yeah, no, we had a really good time at the South Carolina Libertarian Convention in Greenville this weekend, and it was with the exception of Nullick, who we just photoshopped her avatar into everything. It was me, you, Jason, the Muddied Wives,
Cajun.
Kelsey and Sarah. Cajun and his wife were there. Cajun Libertarian. My wife was there as well. It was pretty much the whole Muddied crew minus Nullick that was there, and we had a fantastic time. And I gave a speech.
Sarah, superfan Sarah Anderegg, and host of the Takeover team, twin, whatever they're going to call themselves.
Takeover twins,
yes. She and Kelsey both were on a panel with you that morning, and they did fantastic. So Spike was on this panel, and every time Spike does anything, he does a great job. But when we talked about this panel, we talked about Brian Scott Lambrecht, Sarah, and Kelsey. Yeah, because they did such a fantastic job on the panel. Jason and I kind of forgot Spike spoke.
No, listen, I agree. Kelsey and Jason, or Kelsey and Sarah did a fantastic job with their presentation. And Brian Lambrecht,
As did Brian.
God. Most people don't actually know who Brian is. And they see me there and they think, wow, Spike's going to blow it out of the water, which I will. But then Brian shows up and freaking mauls everyone. And they're like, who the hell was that? And yeah, no, he was fantastic. I love how, and I know how he does this because I've seen him operate before. And he gets up and he's like, "This is what they don't teach you." And then he tells some like insane story about something he did or something on the campaign trail. And he's like, "And that's the kind of stuff that they don't teach you." And everyone's like, so it was really cool. And yeah, and then at that night at the gala, I gave my speech. And, and then we had a great time.
And
this episode,
if you haven't watched the Saturday night special with the entire Muddy team,
yes,
I'm certain that anybody watching it will understand all of the jokes. Every one of them.
This episode, of course, is brought to you by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, the fastest growing caucus and second largest caucus in the Libertarian Party and the largest waffle-related caucus in human history. If you'd like to become a member today, go to the Facebook group, Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus. And if you'd like to become an official voting member, which means nothing because we don't vote on anything, you can go to the Muddy Waters Media store by going to muddywatersmedia.com/store and picking up some great Muddy Waters Media gear, including Waffle House Caucus shirts and buttons. You can get that right there at the store. The Gravy King. Joe Solosky is running for governor of Pennsylvania. Joe Solosky is the key to Pennsylvania's success, and if you'd like to help him become the first libertarian governor ever, then go to joesolosky.com. That's JoeSoloski.com. Jack Casey is running to become the first libertarian to ever write a book that I read, and I still haven't yet. Jack Casey has written 3 books, The Royal Green, In Silver Throned, and Crowned by Gold, which are available at theroyalgreen.com. What are they about? We don't know. We're never going to read them. And if they're ever made for TV, we're not going to watch them. Because we know that it's probably not nice, the things that we say about it. Thomas Queter is running for state senate. Thomas Queter says that he runs better than Albany, which he finds funny because, as he puts it, "I'm a giant midget whose feet you can eat." If you'd like to help Thomas become the state senator, I mean, like, he's running an actual serious campaign. I was with him in Oneonta. We went around Oneonta, New York, and I mean, he's the real deal. But you know, he was going and talking to folks and doing Q&As and signing up business owners to become part of his team and getting donations and doing everything you need to do when you run for state legislature. And then he pays me to refer to him as a midget. Tom from 52.com.
You can eat.
Whose feet you can eat.
Whose feet you can eat.
Whose feet you can eat. Tom from 52.com. That's TOMFOR 52.com/feet you can eat. Defy the power. In Stitches and Glitches, selling the finest libertarian and otherwise themed tumblers ever. Fantastic price. Free customization, which is freaking unheard of. Keeps your hots hot, keeps your colds cold. And if you go to stitchesandglitches.com or defythepower.com, you can get those tumblers today. Matt?
Yep. So, fantastic weekend. It was hanging out with Jason and Kelsey was, it was me, Sarah, Jason, Kelsey, you, Tasha, Cajun, Sonny, Bootleg, and his wife, Caitlin. Getting a chance to meet Jason's daughters, Brian and Jenny, and Carly and her husband Brian. Like having this group together,
it was awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome. We're gonna get into this a little later. But the strength of the Libertarian Party and the direction of the Libertarian Party is going in a good direction. It is going in a very positive direction. There is a lot of good energy going on in the libertarian, in the liberty movement, and having weekends like that really fills me with a lot of hope for the future for everybody.
Yep, absolutely. And also, so coming into this convention, it was a goal. I had two main goals, and I wasn't the only one who had these two main goals. There were many people, but I can tell you I had three main goals. My first goal was, anyone who knows the Libertarian Party knows there's a lot of different factionalism, and this is nothing new. Some of these factions are new, but the factionalism isn't new, and it's largely along the same lines it's always been on. And that's also true in South Carolina, and I wanted to try to heal as much of that rift between the factions as possible, because the reality is we agree with each other 95% of the time, and we should be working together. Another goal of mine was to, we had a platform, the state party had a platform that was written, I believe, in the 90s by some conservatives, and it was not good. It was not good, and it didn't reflect what we believe as libertarians. And so I had a goal of going in and helping to just completely revamp the platform, basically almost start from scratch. And we did that. We now have a platform that starts by saying that government, if it is to even exist, should only exist to protect the lives and rights and property of people, and that's the only tolerable thing that it can do. Yes. And go ahead.
It's no longer a legitimate government. It is a tolerable government.
It is a tolerable government at best. And what's funny is the legitimate government thing was actually the original attempt to revamp it. We actually further refined it by saying, no, that's not legitimate. It's tolerable. We will tolerate a government for now that does that. And that was fantastic. And then another goal was that we learn lessons from what happened in Pennsylvania, where libertarians won, close to 150 elections just in that state alone, and use that Moulton maneuver, use that same strategy in South Carolina. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. More on that in the coming weeks and months, but it's going to be fantastic. We're going to do some great stuff in South Carolina. I couldn't be happier with how everything went.
And I just want to give a massive shout out to Kelsey Lyon.
Yes.
Who put together like that entire weekend. And she put together a fantastic event. She was able to get all of these people together and get the venue and get everything.
Yep.
The amount of work that she did for this weekend. And just so anybody who's involved in their state affiliates or their local affiliates knows that these are thankless jobs.
Yes.
You're not getting paid. This is you are doing this on your own time, and you are doing it literally for everybody else. And 99% of the time, people are just going to bitch about it and say, oh well, they should have done this, when nobody else is willing to lift a finger to help.
Exactly.
Kelsey did a wonderful job at everything that she did on that for that convention, and she deserves all of the props in the world. She
does. She did the lion's share, the lion's share of the work. No, she did. She did. There's really not a better way to describe it. She did just most of the work. I'd also give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Steve and Libby Dasbach for being very hospitable to me and Tasha when we came up. Just a great job by everyone involved. Speaking of a thankless job, we are now going to do the thankless job of telling you terrible news very quickly. On this, the Mudwater Mushroom Coffee Replacement Cacao Rapid Fire segment, brought to you by Mudwater Coffee Alternative. If you woke up today and said, Spike, why are you by my bedside? But while you're here, I'd like to let you know that I don't want to drink coffee anymore. It makes me sick. It gives me the creeps. It makes me feel all jittery, and I'm all drowsy by the end of the day. Well, Spike, instead, I want to try something different. I'd like to try instead masala chai, cacao, mushrooms, turmeric, sea salt, cinnamon, and literally nothing else. Well, folks, it's great that I'm there by your bedside, because I have some fantastic news for you this morning. Mud water is literally all of that. All of those ingredients together forming mud water. How does it taste? Picture what those things might taste like together. You're going to want some honey. So if you'd like to try it out, mud water is great. I take it every day. And yes, I say take because it's my medicine. Mud water, I take it every day, and it has 1/7 of the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. Just enough caffeine to get you up and ready to face the day like this, but not so much to leave you feeling sad and depressed and worn out and adrenal fatigued like this. If you go to muddywatersmedia.com/mud, you can get a starter pack of mud water today, and you can experience the sheer joy of drinking a bunch of healthy but terrible tasting things, hopefully with honey or something to make it bearable. Matt?
They also have a new product out now called Rest, which has rooibos chai and valerian root and lavender and some other stuff, lion's mane, some other things. And if you drink it before bed, it's supposed to lull you, and cinnamon, and it's supposed to lull you into a nice, calming sleep.
Oh, I want that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that.
I want that
yeah.
more than I want. Yeah. So yeah, they just came out with it. If you are already a member, you got an email that said, "We can't wait to sleep with you," and then it said, "That sounds bad." When you open it, but yeah, they have a new product out, and I'm actually looking forward to. They say that it tastes like a relaxing mix of rooibos chai and cinnamon, a sweet relaxing baby made of rooibos chai and cinnamon, or something like that. I made a graphic for it, and I don't know where it is now.
I mean, they say this other one tastes good too. They say that this one is good, and
they don't say that one tastes good. They say that they understand if people like it.
Okay. Well, speaking of things that I understand if you like it, Matt, why don't you tell us?
Sure. Famed Batman enthusiast and the man with the most cameo appearances in Batman movies, with 6 appearances in 5 separate movies and 1 TV show, is retiring. That's right. Patrick Leahy has announced he will not run for re-election next year. After
nearly 50 years in the Senate, he's going to be retiring, and honestly, we don't care. This whole thing was a vehicle to point out that he was in Batman more times than any other civilian.
He was in Batman more times than any person played Batman.
That's impressive, actually.
Yeah, he's actually in more Batman movies than anybody ever.
Well, how about that? Well, now he has more time to devote to being in Batman movies.
More Batman movies.
You know, I look at this picture of him with Heath Ledger, and I think, if only. So
he said that was one of the most terrifying moments of his life because he thought Heath Ledger was really going to cut open his mouth.
Well, look at it. Look, I mean, he looks legitimately scared. Like, good. Make politicians afraid again. Great job, Heath. Speaking of which, Joe Biden signed the infrastructure bill into law this week, adding another $1.2 trillion to the national debt. But who's counting, right, Matt?
Who is counting it? That doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter anymore.
No.
Now, as you all know, we covered the infrastructure bill extensively when it first came out. So we're not going to cover it all that much here. We just want to let you know that it has been signed. If you want to get the information on it, I just included the link into the chats. So you should be able to find it, waiting for Facebook to go through. I don't know if Facebook will because it's a YouTube link. Oh, it went through. So
it went
you can
through,
check
yep.
it out there. So you can get the full shakedown of what it is that is in that. And shakedown, I mean quite literally. But what you need to know is that Democrats who voted for it because it's a Democratic bill.
Yes, exactly.
The Republicans who voted for it because they wanted that sweet, 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 sweet pork, like the pork that Brian Lambrecht made at Jason's house.
Oh gosh, I couldn't have it, but it smelled amazing.
Right, it was so good. So let's just pick out somebody at random, a Republican at random. Let's just say Mitch McConnell.
Okay.
Mitch McConnell, who voted, he voted for this. Kentucky is going to receive more than $4.7 billion over 4 years to repair roads, bridges, and they are going to they're going to receive $647 million to improve water infrastructure, $100 million to expand broadband coverage, $391 million for public transportation, $204 million to improve airports, and $69 million to expand the state's electric vehicle charging network. Now, I know that we talk about this in the other episode, but as far as the state's electric vehicle charging network, as more people buy electric cars, more places like your gas stations or your different parking lots or whatever, wherever you are paying to go to, will install these things in the free market. So that way you don't have to spend your taxpayer dollars on them in areas where they aren't needed.
Yeah, you don't get robbed of hundreds of millions of dollars to pay for things that aren't needed yet. So by the time they are actually needed, they'll probably be obsolete or need fixing or repairing. And since they're owned by the government will say, oh, we'll take care of that and it'll cost more. Instead of we're already seeing it now. We're seeing malls that have parking spots and garages that have parking spots for electric car charging. We're seeing gas stations that are, including electric car stations. We're seeing Tesla is actually building their own supercharger stations across the country, and more homeowners that have electric cars are buying the charging stations to put in their own house. Like it's not needed. It's not needed. And all of those things, water infrastructure, broadband coverage, public transportation, improving airports, these are things that those companies and services would pay for themselves. And instead, now the government's paying for it, robbing you to pay for it. The cost of those things is going to be exponentially higher than it would be if the companies were paying for it itself. It's going to make the cost of things go up because they're running up debt and printing out money to pay for it, which means that your money loses value. This destroys wealth. Even when they spend on supposedly good things like infrastructure, it would be better to be spent by the companies who actually want these things. Expanding broadband coverage is good for the companies that sell you broadband. Public transportation, let them add it to the cost of the public transportation. Improving airports. The airlines are multi-billion-dollar companies. Let them pay for it. The electrical charging networks. Tesla, GM, Ford, Mercedes, let them pay for it. And this is what happens over and over again. It's one thing to say that they need to pay for roads and bridges, which even that's disputable. But all this other stuff, it's just wasted money. It's like Matt said, this has nothing to do with taxpayers. This is about throwing money at pork to get politicians reelected, pay off the cronies who bankrolled them into office, and stick us with the bill for the whole thing and future generations that aren't even born yet.
Right. Like Mitch McConnell has a quote that I was looking for the video of it. I heard the audio, but I was looking for the video, and he said, "This is the first time I get to come up here and talk about some bridge in Kentucky that's going to be able to be fixed." And it's, if it's a bridge in Kentucky that needs to be fixed, why have you been waiting 25 years or whatever it is that you have been waiting to have it fixed?
Exactly.
As opposed to getting it fixed.
Just get it fixed.
You've been letting a bridge just become dilapidated. Dilapidated? Is that a word? That's a word.
Dilapidated.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Katie. She says hi, Uncle Matt and Uncle Spike. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie. Katie
Yeah,
drew something.
You're gonna
nice.
let the
Here,
bridge.
I want to show it. Katie
she
drew
drew a lot
something
of
very
things.
nice for us.
Okay.
Hold on. I'll be right back. You say things.
Okay, I'll finish my. I will. You're gonna allow this bridge to just become a hazard, essentially, and just start falling apart because you want federal dollars to fix it, as opposed to, I don't know, holding a fundraiser, a GoFundMe to fix it, as opposed to paying with it from all of the excess money that Andy Bashar got for COVID. Instead, you're just going to continue to. Instead, you're just going to continue to wait for the federal government to give you money, costing people from all across the country their tax dollars in order to pay for it. No, like these things should be handled in state. I understand that some interstate stuff, yeah, I get it. That should be under treaties, interstate treaties, which Congress is supposed to help with. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be fixing anything in just waiting for federal dollars, waiting for the rest of the country to pick up the bill. You should be fixing these things.
Yeah. And not only that, but it also makes the cost of it. The longer you let something fall apart, the more it costs to fix it instead of just maintaining it on a regular basis. Again, government does everything terribly. You have the stupidest and most dishonest people who are making decisions that do not affect them and that they exempt themselves from, and they use other people's money, your money, to pay for it. What on earth makes anyone... Oh, and you can't opt out of it. So what on earth makes anyone think that's going to lead to good outcomes? So, speaking of good outcomes that we do have, because it was from a voluntary solution from someone who's not a liar or an idiot, Katie, the lion, Katie Lion, she drew this beautiful drawing for me and my wife. It's a red dog and a purple dragon named Spike. No copyright infringement intended. It's very beautiful. She also made a hot dog for us out of clay in like 40 seconds. It was inspiring.
I feel bad. I feel bad because Katie is fantastic. Katie's wonderful.
Yes.
And as I was unpacking today, Katie, I'm very sorry.
You took her crayons. You
They
stole
were
a
in the
child's
trunk.
crayons.
I did. Yeah, they were in the trunk of the car. Katie, I'm very sorry.
This show is over, folks.
All this means, Katie, is you need to have your parents bring you
Gotta
down
go.
to St. Pete.
I
And I am going to keep these crayons
enjoyed my time here.
right up here.
But it's over now. And I can't continue doing a show and a media outlet with someone who steals crayons. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, I felt bad when I saw him in there. I was like, oh, oh no.
I could have. That would be fun. I would have to mail it back. I would be like, and they'd say, no, it's fine. And I'm like, no, I'm going to spend more than the cost of the crayons to ship the crayons back to you.
Yeah, that's
But
what
I know because
thought.
I'd
I
feel
was
that
like,
bad, or I'd be like, let me send you a
Right.
gift card for crayon. So speaking of doing terrible things to children, Kyle Rittenhouse will have to wait another day to find out his fate, as will the rest of the world, Matt.
Yes, that's true. Kyle Rittenhouse. That segue. So this morning at roughly 11:15 Eastern, jury delivery for 7.5 hours.
Yes.
7.5 hours. And for all of you who happen to be here on Muddied Waters, you caught most of it. You caught that image.
Just
for
literally
7.5 hours.
this for 7 hours.
Yep, that image for 7 hours.
Look at
There was
that.
a huge debate going on. Can you put the image back up real quick?
Yes.
There was a debate going on in the chat over what you see where it says forward at the top.
Yes.
What's the thing underneath it?
Oh gosh. Hold on, let me find the actual, because this is not a well-made seal.
Well, no,
of the state of-
if you look at the actual picture, you're gonna know immediately what that is.
Oh, okay. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it because it's obvious there. But let's. Okay, so has anyone seen? Has anyone seen that painting that was redone where it was like a painting of Jesus and it got messed up and they hired like a local artist to revamp to restore it, and it's like they call it Monkey Jesus because they screwed it up. Here, I'm gonna find the picture. They like so messed it up that it's not even like, it doesn't look the same at all. Here, let me just grab this so you can see what I'm talking about. They just utterly ruined it. Like it wasn't even close. That's kind of what this image is like. It's similar vibes. Hold on. Wait, where's that? All right, yeah. Why is this saying download it?
It's a pickle was one of the ones I saw. It's a pickle chicken wing. I hadn't seen that before. Excuse me. Platypus, pepper. It's a pepper anteater. Trash kitty opossum, platypus. Lots of votes for platypus. Beaver, fat anteater.
This is Monkey
Oh my
Jesus.
goodness.
So it had gotten messed up over time, and so they hired a local artisan to fix it, and it looks like that now. So, and this was like a medieval era or Renaissance era painting of a Spanish fresco. So anyway, that's kind of what this is like if you look at the actual seal. So that looks like
and if you
a stuffed pepper.
So because of the things on like it, to me it kind of looked like a turkey, like a Thanksgiving turkey, but I could just be looking forward to next week.
Yeah, I could see that.
I can see but that. Pepper, yes, I see pepper.
Yeah,
I see pepper. I see like a club, like old school Fred Flintstone club.
Yes, I see that. I see a poorly drawn umbrella. If like the thing on the right, that's I believe actually a tail, was like a handle, was like a clubby handle. I could see that.
Right.
There's a few things there. Really, it's just not good. It's actually supposed to be a beaver. It's supposed to be
a badger.
Let me look again. Oh, you know what? Probably is a badger. Whatever it is, it's not supposed to look like that.
I'm only basing that on school mascots, so.
Yeah, you know what? That probably is a badger. I don't know. That could be a badger or a beaver. I don't know, but it's certainly not whatever the hell that is. But they tried.
This is more audio than you got looking at this picture all day long.
Yes. We're breaking it down. We're breaking what happened today. You know, they tried. Whoever made this tried. They tried.
This is the important stuff today.
Yes.
It's a dirt devil vacuum. Yes, I can see that.
Yeah, no, it is. Whoever made this, they tried as hard as Joseph Rosenbaum did. And anyway, so the jury deliberated for 7.5 hours or so, and then they called it at the end of the day. So we don't know what's going on yet. I mean, we know what happened to Joseph, but we don't know.
Right. We don't know what happened in there, and there have been multiple rumors. And I have my own theory, which may or may not be right.
Yes.
But Jack probes.
I gotta look it up. Hold on.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember.
It's like Posobiec?
Yeah. Jack Prob. I need to find him on Twitter because I have no Jack Posobiec.
Get together
Jack
with a
Posobiec.
panel that decides like what is.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, he said
Jack-
something.
Yeah, so he said that according to a U.S. Marshal, two of the jurors were worried about releasing their opinions because they were afraid of being doxxed and any of the negative effects that might come from them saying that Kyle is not guilty.
Right.
Now, to that, I have to say, they have 6 other jurors that are sitting there waiting. Because there are in Wisconsin, the way they do it, there are 18 jurors, and then when they send the jury out, they select 12 of them in a lottery, and then the other 6 have to wait until they can, whether they're called or not, they still have to wait until everything's done. So there are other jurors there. So if 2 of them were like, we don't want to do this because we were afraid of being doxxed, I think they would just call in 2 other jurors
To replace them.
So
yeah.
And I also understand that the other jurors might feel the same way, and that is something that they have been considering. So possibly true.
Very possibly true.
There is the possibility that one person is holding out. That one person is holding out one way or the other, whether it's not guilty or guilty. And they just won't change their minds. And they're just like, nope, we're not gonna change our mind on this. I think that he is not guilty. Or I think he is guilty.
Or I think that he is guilty. Yeah, either way. Yeah.
Right. Either way. And they won't change their mind, and they are trying to figure out a way around the hung jury because they don't want to leave this they don't want this to go to a hung jury.
No.
They do not want that to happen. My theory, because I've watched a good portion of this trial, I think that they think that he is not guilty. And they came to that conclusion later in the day. I don't think they wanted to say it late at night after the sun had gone down for fears of rioting and stuff. So they're going to do it earlier in the morning tomorrow. So that way you have time to get out the National Guard, have them out and ready, and you have time to get the police who didn't do anything the first time out there to try to help do what Kyle did. But that's my theory. That is my theory, is that they didn't want to do it at night.
That's a valid theory. I hadn't really thought of that. A lot of people, they're worried that this is going to lead to, widespread rioting across the country. I do think there may be will likely be at least some rioting in Kenosha, maybe the surrounding area. Right. I don't think it's going to be widespread. And long term, if Kyle is found not guilty, a lot of people who are very bold right now are going to be less bold moving forward. And again, I've said this, I'm not speaking on Matt's behalf, I'm speaking on mine. I think it was dumb for him to go there. I think that it was not a good idea for a 17-year-old. And I think it was an even dumber idea for his mom to agree to take him. For a 17-year-old to go to the site of... I thought she did take him.
She didn't take him. Oh. No, he drove there. He drove there himself. Because in the trial, when he was like, I drove to my friend's house, and he goes, well, why didn't you take your car? Why did you take whatever his name is, Kyle Smith or whatever? Why did you take his car? And he goes, oh, well, I don't have a license. And the prosecutor was like, you don't have a license? Then why were you driving from here to here? And he goes, because I had to drive there to go to work. So he drove there on his own. Like a lot of the stuff that was out there wasn't even true. What came out wasn't true.
Yeah. So I don't think it was a good idea for him to go there. But with that said, once he was there, he wasn't trespassing. He wasn't threatening anyone. He was helping clean stuff up. And when people started attacking him that night, he got kicked and hit by some people that he didn't shoot. He only shot people who tried to reach for his gun or tried to or pointed a gun at him. he
Or hit him with a skateboard.
or hit him with a skateboard. Like there was a guy that there's a couple of pictures it shows where there's a guy that walks up and like kicks him and runs off, and he doesn't shoot that guy because you don't use deadly force against someone who kicks you and runs away. He had better trigger discipline than probably any of the cops there would have had. And
he had better trigger discipline than the prosecutor.
We should have gotten that picture. Let me get that picture.
We should have gotten that picture.
Well, yeah,
we should have gotten that picture. Now, typically in trials, the longer the jury deliberates, the worse it is for the defendant.
Yeah.
This isn't a steadfast rule. In Derek Chauvin, they deliberated for like 2 hours. It was not, I don't remember exactly, but it was not long.
Right.
And they came back with a guilty verdict on him. That's not to say that the longer they sit on Kyle or they deliberate on Kyle means that they're going to find him guilty. But typically, as a rule of thumb, the longer a jury sits in deliberation, the more likely it is that the defendant will be found guilty.
Typically,
Typically, yeah. It's something to keep in mind. It's something to keep in mind during the proceedings of this. If it goes through tomorrow, I'm definitely saying at minimum hung jury.
Yeah,
but he's not going to be found not guilty. If it goes through the next day, it will eventually become guilty.
Yeah,
if it gets released tomorrow, I think hung jury or not guilty.
Yeah, and so meanwhile, you have Kyle out here showing, pristine trigger discipline the whole time, and yet meanwhile, here's the prosecutor. I'm sorry, this image appears to have been doctored. Here's the prosecutor. Oh no. So what you had, so here is the prosecutor, and from another angle, he's pointing it at the jury.
At the jury.
With his finger on the trigger. And with the chamber closed, meaning that if he's got his finger on the trigger, that means he definitely didn't check the chamber to make sure it wasn't armed. This guy has no clue what he is doing, and it is not uncommon for a rifle to have a round chambered, and this violates, gosh, all 4 of the rules of gun safety.
Yes.
Certainly the one about your finger on the trigger and pointing the gun at anything, unless he wants to. He might want to destroy the jury. Actually, maybe he does want to kill the members of the jury. That might be his only strategy at this point. But yeah, he went at it, didn't he?
He did.
And now, meanwhile, he's flagging Ellie in here. The guy behind him does not have his finger on the trigger. Incidentally.
Yeah, he does not. No, he does not. God, Elian Gonzalez. I remember that.
Wasn't that him? That was 20 years ago. I mean, just to note here, he'll never be in the U.S. Marshal Service at this rate. So we will see what happens when it comes to.
We will see what happens
with Kyle.
And tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, I believe that Mr. America, the Bearded Truth, will be streaming The Door all the way.
We've got a preview of what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. He has, and just for this, he has special guests lined up to call in and talk.
One of whom is the guy who made this seal. And he's going to talk about. He's a really good woodworker.
I'm willing to bet the guy who made that seal is the judge.
That would be funny.
Yeah, I just made this in my garage over the weekend, and I figured I'd just put it up in my. Just figured I'd put it up in the chambers here so people can see the woodwork I like to do.
Give you something good to gander at there. Oh yeah. So
I'm not good with badgers.
I'm not good. Oh,
Not
the
good with
badger
badgers.
was
I need
difficult.
To, I need to work on those.
I tried. I thought it was a beaver, and then I got to work on it, and it turned into a sideways teardrop with a penis, and then it kind of looks like a seal there. But I tried my best, and that's what matters. That's what matters there. Well, so speaking of Midwesterners, you know, well. I'll say it later. I can't say it.
I have no idea where that was going.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of inappropriate, a group of House Republicans sent a letter to Merrick Garland, the Joe Biden's Attorney General, whose voting record as a federal court judge is 98% similar to that of Brett Kavanaugh, because you were all played. Calling into question the validity of his testimony in front of the House hearing on the parents at school board meetings. This is it's going to be hard to read, but basically...
Oh man, that came out worse than I thought.
Yeah, but
I made that so fast.
I made it tiny. We're going to get in real close there. Here we go. So, this is for ants. So here's the basics of it. The Merrick Garland...
For ants.
This is for ants. He testified in front of Congress that he didn't see any circumstance in which the Patriot Act would be used in the circumstances of parents complaining about their children, and he certainly didn't see a circumstance where they'd be labeled as domestic terrorists. He didn't think that parents getting angry at school boards for whatever reason would constitute domestic terrorism. It's not even a close question. Well, it turns out he did say that, and directed the FBI to do exactly that, to treat angry school parents as domestic terrorists using the Patriot Act.
Yep.
And then they apologized for it.
Yep, notified a new threat tag created by the Counterterrorism and Criminal Divisions. And they're supposed to apply this new threat tag to all investigations and assessments of threats specifically directed against school board administrators, board members, teachers, and staff. They are using the Patriot Act to go against angry parents, and he lied about it the next day.
When government gets a power, they use it against you eventually, and then they lie about it.
Right. On October 20th, he sent out the memorandum. On October 21st, he spoke to Congress and said, no, that is something that I don't see ever happening. Will anything come of it?
Absolutely not.
No. But the sitting Attorney General of these United States lied to Congress about creating a new terrorism tag to place on parents who stood up at school board meetings to protest what school boards were doing when it came to COVID or CRT and whatever else. And I don't care how you feel about those issues. Don't care.
Nope.
Parents have a right to be mad when it comes to their children's schooling.
Yep.
Whether you agree with their opinions on these things or not,
if
they are in there and they are getting angry and the school board says they were threatening us, even if it wasn't a threat, that does not make them a terrorist. And the federal government should not be treating them as such.
That makes the government the terrorists. This is what government does. And this is why we say, even if you like the pretext behind why they're assuming a new power, they're always going to end up pointing whatever gun you're giving them at you. And this is a perfect example of that. And it's also a perfect example of how no one is going to get prosecuted. No one is going to be sued. No one is going to be fired. And at best, there might be a mild window dressing policy change that ultimately doesn't even really amount to anything. And probably not even that.
Right.
This is what government
right.
looks
I mean,
like.
so you have Merrick Garland here, who lied to Congress, and now you have evidence to prove it. I texted you the email that was included in that letter because it wasn't in the original thing. We didn't have time to make a graphic for it, but there is an email that goes along with that where they state everything that's in it. So he lied. Fauci lied about gain of function. Neither of these two men, nothing is going to happen to these two men. Not because, and remember, if it was you, if it was me, if it was Spike, if it was anybody watching the show, you would be in prison. You would be in prison. Nothing will happen to Merrick Garland or Fauci.
Nope.
Not a thing.
Nope. Not at all. Even when more than likely we find out that the U.S. government under Fauci was directly responsible for the creation of COVID. Even if that happens, the likelihood of anyone actually being anything other than maybe fired for that is very, very low. They will say mistakes were made.
And it won't be Fauci.
Well, and that's the other thing, is it won't be Fauci. Other people will get fired and blamed for Fauci. And then they'll say mistakes were made, you bigot, and then they'll move on with their lives. And you'll still get stuck with the consequences of their action.
Eco Health Alliance will lose all of their grant ability, but they'll just rebrand under a different name and start getting the grant money back again.
Yep. And in fact, actually, what's probably going to happen is we're going to start hearing messaging about why gain of function research is necessary. And that will be the tip that you're about to find out what happened.
They already changed the definition of gain of function.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
what's coming next?
Gain of function.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say they changed the definition of gain of function like after that letter came out. They changed it on the NIH website. So that way when Fauci went back up against Rand Paul, he would be able to say, according to the definition, that's not what this says. That's not the right definition. And they're just going to continue moving the goalposts to make sure that whatever they're saying is accurate in that moment.
Yeah. And the other thing that's going to happen is they're the same way with inflation, how they're saying they went from there is no inflation to it's transitory and only on specific things to it only affects the rich to it's good. Now it's good. Soon inflation will be about equity and anti-racism. And if you're against it, you're a bigot. They're going to do that with gain of function research. If you start seeing them normalizing gain of function research, the okie doke is coming. They're going to have to admit that they created this thing. And then that's when it gets real fun. And again, we don't know if that's what happened, but if that's what happened, that's what they're going to start saying. Gain of function research is suddenly going to become something that's, well, how else are we going to fight serious diseases like the ones that are being created by us? So, speaking of fantastic things that are created by us, now it's time for the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment. Brought to you by Chris Reynolds, attorney at law. If you want to sue us, then you're screwed if you're in Florida because we're going to use personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, to sue you back. But if you want to sue someone else and you live in Florida, well, then they're screwed because you're going to use personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, to sue them. If you go to chrisreynoldslaw.com, he'll meet with you personally and explain to you just how many stacks, bands he can get you. How many stacks of hundos he can just shove right in your craw there. Right in the old chrisreynoldslaw.com. Oh, also, this segment is about we take your call. The reason it's called the call-in moment is because we have calls that come in and we take them. That's why it's called that. And you can leave messages by going to anchor.fm/muddiedwaters and pressing the button to leave messages, and you can leave them and we answer them right here on the personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds attorney at law anchor call-in moment that we're doing right now. Now, that's not the only thing that you can do while you're there. If you go to anchor.fm/muddiedwaters/subscribe, you can become a member of the Muddied Waters Muddied Mudsketeer Mud Militia. And when In doing so, we're gonna figure out what to call that. And in doing so, many magical things happen.
Do you know why we start every Do you know why we start every Tuesday with good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard?
No.
Because we were gonna call our fan base the Vanguard
Oh.
when we started the show, and I wrote that in to memorize, and now we're the Muddied Militia Musketeers. What the fuck ever.
Join the Mud Skipper. Mud. Join us, and you get access to all sorts
The original
of fantastic
name of
stuff.
the group was the Vanguard.
Yes, if you join the Vanguard of Mud, the Mud Guard, if you will, then what happens is you get to have many different things. One thing you get is exclusive access to Muddied Mudsketeer, Mud Skipper, Muddy Water, Mud People content on Anchor. You also get an ad-free experience while listening to our podcast. Coming soon, our video will be on there as well very soon. But you also get access to something really cool that we're going to be resurrecting this Thursday, the Muddied Zoom, where once a month, me and Matt and Jason and the rest of the Muddy Waters crew meet up with our Mud Skipper, Mud people, to hang out, our subscribers, to hang out on Zoom, and we live stream it to make everyone else jealous. And if they want to join us, they too have to become members. The Muddied Zoom is going to be this Thursday, the 18th. And then from there on, it's going to be the
Second Thursday.
Second Thursday. Of every, not this month, though. But the second Thursday of all the other months. Just not this one. But the second Thursday of all the other months. And it's going to be fantastic. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. All of this, you're listening to this and you're saying, Spike, this is amazing. This must be hundreds of dollars a week for me to be a part of this. And you'd be wrong. Not only is it not hundreds of dollars a week, why it's not even $80 a week. In fact, by golly, it's not even $70 a week. In fact, it's not even $60 or even $50 a week. And you're thinking, well, it's got to be at least $40 a week. Well, you'd be wrong because it's not even $30 a week. And in fact, it's not even $20 a week. In fact, it is $10 a month.
And just so everybody knows, when you sign up, you get a coupon code for 10% off.
The Muddy Waters
at the Muddied Waters store.
Yeah.
So you could literally save your monthly bill every time you go to the store.
If you buy $100 or more a month of Muddied gear, which you should be doing, then you're already making your money back on your subscription just from that. That's before we get into the Muddied Zoom. That's before we get into the ad-free experience for podcast listening and watching on Anchor. That's before we get into the subscriber-only content. That's before we get any single one of those things would be worth at least $10 a month. And instead, we're cramming it all together and shoving it right up in there for $10 a month.
That's right. Tim Wysong said Muddied Water onesies. Yes, we have Muddied Waters onesies. And we have sold one. And whoever bought that, I don't remember who bought that. But that was the most exciting purchase that I've ever had on the store. And he never posted a picture of it. Probably because he didn't want me to use it as an advertisement.
Probably so. We have underwear with my face on it.
That's true. And yes, we do have kid sizes, Rob, not of the underwear. That's only in adult sizes, but we do have kid sizes for
Good.
T-shirts.
Can we please not sell kids underwear with my face on it? Please?
We won't ever sell kids underwear with your face on it. God.
So our first call comes from the Cajun Libertarian. Wait, are these the old ones?
Hang on, let me check. I think I got rid of the old ones.
I don't think you did.
100% sure. Okay, I did not get rid of the old ones. The one labeled number 1 is the first one.
That's the first one? Okay, cool. All right, so we have 5 messages today. First one from the Cajun Libertarian.
Hey, what's up, Matt and Spike? Cajun Libertarian here, your favorite personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law. Anchor call in moment, caller calling on Muddy Waters of Freedom. South Carolina was amazing. Thank you both so much for all of the work and efforts that you put in. It is unparalleled, and there is no replacement for being able to sit right next to you and learn from y'all.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. That also goes for Jason Lyon, Mr. America, the quote-unquote bearded truth. You are a fantastic human being as well. Your family is phenomenal. You guys are great. But let's be honest for a second. The only reason you got a signed portrait from Spike Cohen saying that you have the best beard on Muddy Waters Media is, number one, you cried about it a bunch. And number two, you full well know that I can't grow my beard any longer than it is because of my job. You know that. Admit it. But if you want the W, you can have it.
Also, he paid me. He also paid for the... Not all the proceeds went to South Carolina Libertarian Party, but he also gave me $20. Again, it didn't. I didn't keep it, but I figure, if someone pays for something, they can have it say what they want it to. If you had paid me $20, I would have said you had the best beard. I would have written them both at the same time, right next to you, and then let you guys fight each other.
Right next to each other.
Just right next to each other. Best beard on Muddied Waters, love Spike. Best beard on Muddied Waters, love Spike. Here, go fight somewhere. Because I love y'all. All right, here's the next one.
Cajun Libertarian here, right back at with another personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor calling, moment calling. We've labeled parents that want to speak out at school board meetings as domestic terrorists, but yet we have the New York chapter of BLM saying that there will be bloodshed and violence if they don't get their way. There are people trying to hold the Rittenhouse trial hostage by saying there will be violence and riots if they don't get their way. How are those people not domestic terrorists, but yet the parents are? Obviously, we know the answer to that, but the real question is, what do we do as the people? Stand up and say, this is not right, this is incorrect, and we're going to hold you accountable. How do we do that? Also, how do we hold Cori Bush accountable for her disgusting lie of a tweet saying that she was shot at by white supremacists at the Ferguson situation?
Well, obviously, Cori Bush wasn't shot at in Ferguson because she was in Bosnia with Hillary getting shot at by snipers. And Brian Williams.
Brian Williams. I was
Brian
like,
Williams.
who is that newscaster? Brian Williams.
Brian Williams was there.
So I have to disagree with Cajun here a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the parents are not domestic terrorists. The parents are not domestic terrorists. I'm not going to disagree there. But just like the parents aren't domestic terrorists for being heated and saying something that, might be outlandish, you can't say that the BLM people in New York for saying that are domestic terrorists. Or that the people at the Rittenhouse trial are domestic terrorists. It's
Right.
not until once they do the action that they become the domestic terrorist. I do agree that the definition of domestic terrorist is it's a political moniker. Like they give it, whoever is in charge gives it to the party or the mindset that they disagree with. But just because somebody says it during fits of rage and anger doesn't mean that they're actually domestic terrorists. It means that they said something that they may absolutely regret having said in that moment. But if they do something afterwards, backing up what they said, that's when they become domestic terrorists. So once that happens, that's when I will agree that those people are domestic terrorists.
Yeah, we got to give them the chance to see if they're actually going to do anything or if they're just angry. And the thing is, there are going to be some people who are just angry. There are going to be some people who do something stupid. And we'll have to see. You have to judge people as individuals. I understand the frustration. But I also understand the frustration at, one thing that it was actually John Phillips, who's one of my favorite people in the Libertarian Party. He made a comparison after the shooting of Malia Bryant, I think her name was, in Columbus. where an officer showed up to a shooting. It showed up to the scene of an attempted stabbing where Malia Bryant had actually called 911 on people that had been bullying her. Oh, it was her sister that called 911. Okay. And
her sister, yeah, because Malia Bryant was fighting with the people. Malia Bryant and her sister were foster children and being fostered by this family.
Yeah.
And the two older siblings, I think they may have been blood related, either that or they were other foster children who weren't at the house anymore, were bullying Malia, and mainly Malia. And she was like, I don't want to be here for her birthday. She's mean, whatever. And they're like, no, you have to be here. And a fight was starting to break out. And it started escalating. And that's when the little sister called on what was happening. Okay. And then that's when Malia Bryant.
Yeah. So then when the cops showed up, he doesn't know any of this. He knows that he's been called to the site of a disturbance and a fight, and he sees a girl come out, charge one person, knock them over, pull out a knife, or already have a knife, and start charging at someone else who was standing there defenseless by a car and about to get stabbed. He's saying, drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife. She doesn't drop the knife. She has plenty of time to drop the knife. She knows he's right there yelling at her. She obviously hears it, and he kills her. And in doing so saves the life or safety of the girl that she was about to stab. And the community got very upset about it, and it kind of that kind of died away. And I think over time people realized this was a terrible, terrible, unfortunate event, but that officer didn't actually do anything wrong. But initially there was this very angry, white hot response to it. And John Phillips said something. My thumb right now is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And if I hit it up against this, I go, that kind of hurts, but I'm okay. But if my thumb had been smashed into a car door multiple times, so it's broken and it's inflamed and it's hurting, and I'm trying to get it to heal, and I just barely touch it against something, it hurts so much that it sends pains up my arm. I'm in excruciating pain for something that otherwise would have been fine. I think when a community is so inflamed by a combination of real events like police shootings of unarmed people and disproportionate harm at the hands of big government and bad policies that target all of us, but especially the most marginalized among us, coupled with people that rile them up in order to make money and push them towards their political goals and aims, all of that together leads to people being inflamed and upset over something that they probably otherwise wouldn't have. Had those other things not happened, and they heard that a kid who was trying to help a situation, whether it was smart or not for him to be there, ended up defending himself against people that were attacking him, they would have said, oh, okay, well, that's very unfortunate, but it is what it is. But coupled with all that other stuff, and the also the fact that corporate media was insistent on dividing us on this, that leads to this. But yeah, we can't assume they're terrorists. Here is the next one from Justin Lomness. Here we go.
Hello, Muddy Waters Media. Every time I try and subscribe, it's telling me that it's an invalid email address. So I don't know if it's something with Anchor FM or not, but could you look into it? Thank you.
Yes, we will look into that.
Look into that right now.
Yeah. Send us an email at, muddywatersmedia@gmail.com?
I think it's saying that his is an invalid email address.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is he can contact us and we can follow up with him. All right. So we have two from Not a Real Libertarian. Here's the first one.
Heyo. So guys, I need y'all's help also from the audience. If you would like to see one Cajun Libertarian in a dress with the photo posted on social media, there is a link that people need to go to do so. I feel like it's far more beneficial to see him in a dress than anyone else. So if you want to, I will post the link again in the comment section for anyone who's interested to see Cajun Libertarian in a dress. go to the link, listen to the episode for a few minutes, and then you can turn it off if you want to. Yeah, you'll have to go to the link and listen in order to get Cajun in address. Thank you.
I don't think that's true.
I think we could get Cajun in address.
Am I the only one that doesn't want this?
I mean, I don't, but I think we could do it if we did.
Oh, I'm sure we could do it. I just don't want it. Anyway, here's the other one from Bootleg.
Quick thing, if you want to see Cajun in the dress, you have until 1 a.m. to go listen to that link. So I would recommend everyone doing it tonight. That way the numbers count and you can get Cajun in the dress.
If you want to go and listen, he put the link in the in the chat. So feel free to go to the link after this show is done. After this show is done.
Yeah, Keith McCory's like, yeah, sure, everyone wants this. I'm like, I don't. No, I'm good. What was your last comment?
The issue
Cajun
isn't
Libertarian
whether
said the
there
issue
were-
isn't whether there were or are acts of terrorism. The issue is that the institutions are labeling said people as terrorists and weaponizing said institutions against that particular demographic and not the persons actually threatening violence. Yeah, no, the government should not be picking winners and losers here. And
right.
You know, we saw on the flip side, we saw that when Trump was going after not rioters but protesters with uniformed basically military police and they were detaining people. Yeah. We don't know what really happened to them. We presume that they were let go at some point. But this is what happens when you put, again, government is a bunch of liars and sociopaths and idiots who are making decisions that don't affect them, spending your money to pay for it and not giving you an option to opt out. And it doesn't lead to anything. Dave Davis says to a Democrat, the NRA is a terrorist organization. They definitely are not. They are a gun control group. That is the most effective gun control group in American history, actually.
To the Democrats and to a lot of other people, Rittenhouse is a domestic terrorist.
Yes.
To a lot of other people, he is not. So. Yep. When you are giving these arbitrary titles to people without a strict definition on what one is,
yep, and
it leaves it open to interpretation, the powers that be are going to be the ones that decide who gets that title. And like when we covered Merrick Garland right before the Chris Reynolds break, he's giving it to parents. He's giving it to parents who are mad about what's going on in the schools.
Exactly.
Trump was giving it to people who were protesting over the summer. It is 100% on the party in charge on who they are distributing that out to. Did they do something violent? Did they do something violent? Were people killed? Were buildings, destroyed? Okay. I'm not against labeling people if we have a strict definition on it, but we have to have a strict definition on it that can't waver.
Yep. Exactly. And we're not going to, because domestic terrorist means whatever they want it to mean. It's a scary term that gets you to, it conjures images of people in your backyard trying to blow everything up and kill people. And so they just are going to haphazardly throw that on anything that they want you to be scared of in that moment. You'll notice right now they're focusing on trying to label unvaccinated people as being more dangerous than COVID. They want you to actually fear the people more than the virus itself.
You had the CEO of, I think it was the CEO of Pfizer. It was somebody head up in Pfizer saying that people who spread misinformation about COVID and the vaccine online were criminals who deserve to be put in jail because they were responsible for millions of deaths.
Yep.
Millions of deaths.
Not the virus.
I haven't checked. I haven't checked the count recently, but I think 5 million people have died.
Yeah. By the way, that's
just
also
about
another reason to think that we're about to find out that this virus was not, something that was naturally occurring, that they accidentally created this thing in the lab. Because if they can make you hate people more than the virus, by the time you find out the virus was the fault of, the sainted Anthony Fauci, they can say, oh, well, but, the real danger here are people spreading misinformation and lies, and the people who don't, who aren't listening to our health experts and are putting the lives of millions at risk. And if you say, yeah, but they created the virus, they go, that's not what's important here. And it's all about, it's the hucklebuck and the okey doke. Speaking of hucklebucks and okey dokes, turns out politicians are out of touch. According to a Washington Post ABC News poll, Republicans hold the highest lead. Where is that? Republicans hold the highest lead this is very early. We're talking a year out. But Republicans hold the highest lead in history of this poll, or I guess the highest lead they've ever had in the history of this poll, with a 51% to 41% difference over the Democrats. 51% of respondents saying that they will vote for the Republican Party in the midterms.
Yeah, and so this poll's been going on for 40 years, and I think that the highest the Republicans have ever scored on this poll was like 8 points. Well, like 8 points difference. Now they're at a 10-point difference. Right. Now they are at the majority, not a plurality.
Yeah.
Keith McCory, where's the Libertarian line? There isn't. Man, come on. Of course there's not. And an ABC Washington Post poll, they aren't putting libertarians in there.
Well, here's the answer to that. So early voting, 51 to 41. 51 plus 41 is 92. That means that 8% said something else.
Right.
They said something else, even though not being prompted. So that's right. Where and libertarians and third parties are.
And what they list that 8% as is undecided. Because the way that they do these polls is they say Republican or Democrat. And if you're like, well, no, I'm going to vote third party, they're like, well, no, just in this situation, it's only Republican and Democrat. There is no. And, well, no, then I won't vote. Well, and then so they just count them out and they aren't a prospective voter. That's how they do these polls.
Yeah.
So it's a skewed number. But the people who end up saying undecided, most of them are going to be voting third party. A minority of them are actually undecided. And part of the reason that the Democrats are at 41% in this poll is because a lot of their problems are deep. They are deep. They have soaring economic discontent. You've got rising inflation across the board. I think that they're at 6.8% from this time last year.
I think that's right. 6.2%, the highest that's ever been reported. Yeah.
6.2%. Record gas prices in California at $4.88 a gallon.
Yep.
70% of the respondents say that the economy is in bad shape, which is up from 58% last spring. While just half blame Biden directly for inflation, the worst inflation since Bush won. Since like the OG Bush, the original Bush. His approval for handling the economy overall is down to 39%, and has dropped 6 points since early September and 13 points since last spring.
Yeah, he has. He's 12 points underwater in job approval, and this is is this one poll or it's an average of polls? Oh, it's the ABC News, not Washington Post poll.
That's the ABC.
Yeah, these are terrible numbers. He has also dropped 12 points in Virginia, and he dropped 14 points in New Jersey. Oh, so the difference? No, that's so the difference between how much he won by and how much
Right.
the Democrats won by dropped 12 points in Virginia, which was enough for the Republicans to win after Biden won the state a year earlier by 10 points. And then it dropped 14 points in New Jersey, which led to the Republicans coming within a matter of a few hundred, I believe a few hundred or a few thousand votes of winning there.
Yeah, a few thousand votes. Yeah,
yeah,
because
1,000
Biden
votes.
won by 15 in Jersey the year before.
Yeah.
And a broad sense, and what most of these respondents said is that the Democratic Party is out of touch with the concerns of most Americans. 62% of the people who responded in this ABC Washington Post poll said that the Democrats are out of touch. That's roughly 2/3 of the voters who say that the Democrats are out of touch, which is massive.
Now, Matt,
Absolutely massive.
Matt, so that means, of course, that since the Republican Party has a resounding 10-point lead right now, and nearly 2/3 of voters are saying that the Democrat Party is out of touch, that means that the Republican Party is seen as widely being in touch with what the country wants or needs, right?
Well, yes, but mostly no. They are 4 points better, which in many places is considered a landslide. But only 58% of voters see the GOP as out of touch with the direction that the country is heading. Or
so
roughly
both
3
within the margin of error of 60%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And looking to the midterm elections next year, 58% of all adults and 59% of registered voters are inclined to look around for someone new to vote for, slightly above its average dating back to polls in 1980 to 1989. 58% of this nation, of the potential voters in this nation, are looking for something new. Now, when 2022 comes around, you're going to start seeing this is the most important midterm election of our lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see that. You're going to see much like you did last year, where this election is about America's soul. We can have your Kyle Rittenhouses running all over the place, or you can have the Democratic Party that's trying to help, or you're going to have the Republicans saying we need to stop the spending that's causing the 6.2% inflation, even though they are quick to forget how much spending was done in 2020. This is what this election is going to happen. 58% of Americans are looking for something new. Independents, which is what they lump a lot of us into, they're often the swing votes in the national elections, are favoring GOP candidates 50 to 32%. And in 2018, the last midterm, they voted 12 points in Democratic favor. Moderates are dividing closely, 6 points for Democratic candidates, 48 to 42%, as opposed to the 26 points in 2018. Yeah, they dropped 20 points on moderates, which is insane.
Yeah. And suburban and rural voters continue to favor Republicans, 54 to 39 in suburban areas, and rural voters 2/3 to 1/3, actually 2/3 to 1/4, with quite a few there in the gap in between that are 66 to 26% for Republicans. The Democratic advantage among urban residents at 52 to 38 is well off of 2018 and off of 2020.
I just want to point out that was copied and pasted. They said it's well off of their 2018 results.
Yep.
That means that it was off so much. They were willing to put 24 points? 20 points? 20 points. They were willing to put in 20 points. They wouldn't put this number in because that's how far off it was.
That's how bad it is. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you think about the typical voting lines for, I remember when we were watching that Terry McAuliffe was getting, 75 to 20% in some of the northern cities, the northern counties, and everyone was saying that's off of what he needs, and it was like, what does he get? 85%? Yeah. In urban areas, it's like 85% Democrat. So 52-38 is just that is dead. That's bad. That's where they're supposed to make up all the numbers that they lose in suburban and rural areas. And typically, Democrats have to at least do 50-50 in rural areas, and they ain't doing 50-50. They're off by 15 points there.
Right now, the Libertarian Party, or liberty-minded people in general, I don't care what party you're for, liberty-minded people in general are in a unique spot. You have 58% of the people think that the GOP is out of touch. 62% of the people think that the Democrats are out of touch. Urbanites are looking for something else. Urbanites are looking for something else. Your suburban families and suburban people, they're looking for something else. This is a huge time. Both parties have proven that they're Republicrats, to quote Spike. They will continue to spend more and more money, make debt worse and worse, create more and more inflation, and it's hurting everybody from the top all the way down to the bottom, with the people at the bottom getting hurt worse, because when the gas prices go up, who does it hurt? It doesn't hurt your Elon Musks and your Jeff Bezoses, and it doesn't hurt those guys. It hurts the people at the bottom.
Yep.
And those people can't afford your electric cars or your hybrids. They're buying cars that have to be worked on. And I'm only saying this because I am that person. I've been that person for so long. They aren't worried about that person, but they're going to continue to say, we're here fighting for that person. When they say inflation, what's the term? Inflation is it's only a rich people person. It's transitory. Thank you. It's transitory. They are ignoring the lower class, the middle class, the lower middle class. They're ignoring all of those people. And that is why this is happening. And right now, we have the ability, we have roughly 245 candidates running for state and federal offices in the Libertarian Party.
Yep.
And then, that's not even close. That's not even close to the right number. I know that, but and right
this is a very, whatever it is now, is a very early number. That number will go up quite a bit in the next few months as people start like getting nominated by their state parties and things like that. So, we're going to have several hundred, maybe as many as 1,000 or more that are going to be running for local, state, and actually well over 1,000 that are going to be running for local and state and federal offices across the country.
Right now, the American people are out there, according to ABC, Washington Post, that they want a different choice. It's there. They have it. It is up to each and every one of you, as well as us, to make those choices known to everybody else. And this is where messaging on campaigns becomes so very, very vital. The panel that we spoke about at the beginning of the show that Spike sat on, and that Sarah and Kelsey and Brian and Casey Crow was on it as well. It was about messaging on campaigns, right? That's what that was about. That's what I got out of it. They spoke about messaging on campaigns and how to properly message and how to build the campaign. I believe you and I talked about it last week. You and I either talked about it or I talked about it on Saturday, where you aren't trying to reinvent the wheel. You're trying to take what works in campaigns and make it slightly better and then pass that information along. Like with your culture of winning that you did for a little while.
Yep.
You are, this is on all of us. We need to get the word out about the people that we want to see in office. Brian Lambrecht gave a fantastic talk on getting people media time.
Yep.
And how to properly do it. Sarah gave a wonderful talk on social media marketing. Kelsey gave a great talk on graphics and branding. I don't know what Spike talked about. I honestly don't. It's like the show. I tuned them out.
Yes.
This is where sharing information about your candidates is massively important. This is where volunteering for campaigns and getting them on media is massively important. If the American people want another choice, let's make it so obvious that there is another choice that they can't ignore it.
Yep. That's what we have to do. And we started that process in South Carolina, and we will be continuing it tomorrow, actually, at my final event, for in-person event for the year. I will be in Raleigh, North Carolina at Tobacco Road. We're going to be doing an end-of-year event for the Wake County LP. We have had close to 100 people that have already registered to be there. This is going to be a huge event, and it's going to start at 7 p.m. It's in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. And at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to go live there for my next episode of My Fellow Americans, where I will be answering questions live from the audience there at Tobacco Road, and we'll be having a great time there. And then I get to be home. Yeah, after that, I get to be home for the rest of the year. I'm really looking forward to it. And then on Thursday, we have an incredible thing. The Muddied Zoom, where all of our Mud Skipper subscribers get to hang out with us on Zoom with the entire Muddied crew starting at 8 p.m. I should probably put the time on there. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll hang out for a couple hours and have a great time there, and we will be live streaming it for all the plebes to watch jealously, and hopefully they'll then want to join us by becoming subscribers. Then on Friday, join...
if you are a subscriber, hang on one second.
Yeah.
If you are a subscriber, you did get an email with the invite. It is also in the exclusive Muddied Water subscriber group. But you did get an email that you can check, and you can just click on the link there and it will allow you to join.
Yes, and if you didn't get it, then reach out to us and we'll send it to you directly. And don't share it with others because you paid for this. You're a mud. And on Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, join Noel and Nullick for another episode of Cajun and Eskimo from Bayous to Igloos. And then on Monday, join Jason Lyon for another episode of Mr. America, The Bearded Truth at 8 p.m. And then join us 7 p.m.? 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
And then join us right back here next Tuesday, same muddied place, same muddied time for another fantastic episode of The Muddy Waters of Freedom, where Matt Wright and I parse through the week's event like the chipper little middle-aged men that we are. Matt, if someone were going to look for us on the internet, is that even possible? And if so, how?
It is possible. If you are one of those old school people who don't enjoy looking at our sculpted Adonis-like faces while we talk, and only like hearing the dulcet tones of our voice, whether my voice is basically gone from talking a lot this weekend, or or I don't know how you do it, man.
My voice has gotten gruffer over time. That's how I do it.
Good God. Whether you like hearing the voice this way, where I sound like Phoebe on Friends when she has a cold.
Wow.
Yeah, I hate that show. I don't know why I made that reference. you can go to Anchor. I can't even whisper. Good God. Anchor.fm.
Your voice is
/muddied waters.
This
It's
hurts
so
his
messed
mouth.
up.
This hurts his throat right now.
It does so bad. Anchor.fm /muddied waters.
Yes.
Where you can leave us messages and we will play them live on the air on Tuesdays.
Leave us messages. Yes. Oh, leave us some messages. You can also become a subscriber. You can subscribe to us and doing things, really cool things like the Muddied Zoom by going to anchor.fm /muddiedwaters/subscribe. You can leave us messages for the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, Anchor Call-In Moment. And you can do the Muddied Zoom, and you can do all sorts of fantastic things. Also, and you can join us. You can watch this in every episode. Oh, you can get exclusive discounts. My thing, this fell off. It fell off the thing. You can also, I gotta carry it now. I gotta hold it now. You also get exclusive discounts to the store, and you can buy things there. You can buy it for less if you become a subscriber. But then also, if you want to watch, or you can watch this in all episodes of the Muddy Waters of Freedom and Muddy Waters of all Muddy Waters Media things on muddywatersmedia.com. Wow, that came right out, didn't it? There we go. No.
So
we're still live.
I know. Apparently muddiedwatersmedia.com isn't working, but if you go to muddiedwatersoffreedom.com /store or /mud or /whatever, you can find the content you are looking for there while we figure out why muddiedwatersmedia.com is not working.
Well, so muddywatersmedia.com is working, but muddywatersmedia.com /store is not working.
Well, /mud isn't working either.
Oh, good. I will fix that in just a second. So, and that's also not working. Okay. Anyway, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to go figure out why our website's not working. Thanks so much for tuning in. We love you, and we'll see you very soon. And where we're going,
we don't need roads.